Now, I'm hoping this will be something that'll spin your cap. So not only can technology give you that data, but it also, as I keep mentioning these programs, it can also help you in the program aspect of it. So monitoring your programs and giving you that one centralized repository for all your records, right? Perform root cause analysis and so forth. So let's take a look at this back in the system, a little bit of a live example. And when I say one system that's doing all of this, the first thing I'm going to show you is something called a program viewer. This program viewer, I was in here earlier, so I see a couple Canadian companies on, CFIA you might be familiar with. I'll show you an SQF example for many of you on here in a second. But the idea is that you have these programs in place. We talked about filing cabinets. I'm sure everyone at one point in your time has had a 3-ring binder red folder, right, that you captured all of this data and you kept it in line with the different cues and the codes. Well, think about a system like SafetyChain that can take, okay, so here's, for example, 3.2 is a HACCP plan. It's part of my program. As part of that program, I have to have specific documents, right, that are in place that show the backup to that program. That might be an SOP. It might be a work instruction. It might be the actual regulation itself, right? Many of you have these. This is your SOPs. This is your SSOPs, all in place. And then, by the way, when you go through that for 3.2, you have your documents. You also have your forms that are capturing that data today, right? Your CCP check, your HACCP plan, metal detector check you'll see here, right? The idea that not only can our system start to aggregate this all together where you have a program, you have documents for that program, you have forms for that program, you also then have the records for that program, right? So show me all of the records that were part of my HACCP plan, that all of the checks that I've done. Maybe you want to filter those, again, just by the failures. Just show me the non-compliant values. For many of you have been asked for that report before, right? Show me your non-compliance over the last 6 months. Show me your non-compliance over the last week. Who did those non-compliances? When were they done? What was the outcome of that non-compliance? All of that can be captured in our system. If I take it a step further, sorry to show you the Canadian code for many of you U.S. folks, but I'm sure many of you U.S. folks are quite familiar with the code I'm showing you here as well, right? Here's the SQF code. You can do the same exact thing with the SQF code where you can store and house your documents, keep track of those documents, have any forms in here that roll up to it. Think about a auditor coming in and actually could even start doing a documentation audit online before they come in and review your results or whatever that might be. So let's take this one step further. So now you have your programs in the system, and I'm just going to back up here and show you a real easy, simple report. How many times would it be important for you, as we talk about root cause analysis, for you to come into a system and say, hey, you know, I want to see anything that's happened, whatever, over the past 3 months. We'll go to today. So I'm just running a report from April to July. And by the way, I want to see that for lot number 123, right? Or ingredient number ABC, or whatever it is. But a key identifier in here that you can now very quickly go through, pull out that number, and let's use 123. So I think that'll have some data around it. And very quickly have a system that shows you everything that's been done in regard to that lot number. So here's my breast meat tally for that number. Here's my cooked weight for that number in that period of time. Here's my HACCP plan with the checks that were done for that number, all rolled up instantaneously. So I know I said earlier, a couple clicks. All I did was click from the program viewer into a report. In 2 clicks in that report, I set a time frame and I set a lot number, and the system regurgitates back everything that's happened, including unalterable date and timestamps of when it happened, any comments or corrective actions that were resulted with it if they've been resolved. So instantaneous access to this information is key, and I think that's where we've started to really see the value of automation and systems in place, right? It's obviously the fun, trending, and yes, when I say fun, this really starts to help drive that bottom line value and start to affect outcomes, maybe even allowing you to make your system, your facility, you know, larger without actually increasing the walls, right? The idea that we can help with that productivity and outcome. But obviously, a key end result is quick access to that information. Show me everything that's important to me at this moment. And that's what we've really seen come out of automation.
SafetyChain. Reduce risks, control costs, ensure compliance.